Good, happy Monday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to my news report right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. In Manchester, party officials predict higher turnout than 2 years ago. As candidates for mayor of the state's largest city head into the final hours before the polls open early Tuesday morning, top party officials on both sides of the aisles agree on one key point: turnout. State Democratic Party Chair Raymond Buckley and Manchester City Republican Chair Tammy Simons said in separate interviews Monday that they expect the turnout in the city to be slightly, although not subsequently, higher than the 2015 turnout of just more than 37%. Supporters of Manchester Mayor Ted Gastis and challenger Joyce Craig, a former Ward 1 alderman, said the higher turnout will help their candidate. The voters who will have the final say Tuesday on which side speculation turns out to be more accurate. Manchester mayoral campaign has been the most closely watched race of 2017 off-year election season. In addition to the mayor's race, there are contested races for aldermen in all 12 wards and contested races for school board in 11 and 12 wards. Voters will also decide whether to allow Keno in the city. Manchester is among 10 New Hampshire cities which voters will elect mayor. For a look at those races across the state, we will show you a graphic in a minute. According to figures compiled separately by Manchester City's clerk and New Hampshire Secretary of State's office, 20,198 votes were cast in 2015 mayoral election, while there were 53,978 registered voters in the city. Gastis defeated Craig by 64 votes following a recount. The number of registered voters in Manchester has increased since then, most likely because of increased registrations for last year's New Hampshire presidential primary and general election for president, the U.S. Senate, 2 U.S. House seats, and governor. The Secretary of State's office reported in April that there were 64,456 voters in Manchester at that time, but that number has since been updated by local officials. In early June, the Manchester City Clerk's Office and the City Board of Registries conducted a voter checklist verification process, finding that 8,577 registered voters had not voted in the previous 9 city-wide election, dating back to November 2012. City Clerk Matthew Normand said that only About 20 of those voters notified the city that they wanted to remain on the checklist. The others were removed. As a result of the latest voter registration number following the verification process shows 55,900 registered voters in Manchester. There are 18,285 registered Democrats in Manchester, or 32.7% of the total, and 15,551 registered Republicans, or 27.8% of the total. The city also has 19 registered Libertarian voters. As Gastis and challenger Craig continued going door-to-door, meeting as many voters as possible Monday, both campaigns were planning on voter turnout being higher than in 2015. And while a higher turnout might be expected to favor the Democratic Craig in a city with subsequently more Democrats than Republicans, Manchester often defies controversial wisdom. So far this year, 8 special elections for New Hampshire House seat, Democrats have shown more energy, perhaps sparked by intrigue toward President Donald Trump and a larger staff at the state Democratic Party and at its GOP counterpart to organize Get Out the Vote effort. Democrats have won 6 of 8 special elections, with 4 of those victories coming in districts in which registered Republicans outnumbered Democrats. 2 more special elections are scheduled for Tuesday. Whether results of low turnout special elections indicate more energy in the city election is purely spectacle. Simmons agreed with the first portion of Berkeley's statement to turnout, but said Gastis has run a strong race and has been tirelessly on the campaign trail. Gastis has hammered on taxes as top issues in the campaign, portraying himself as a solid tax fighter and portraying Craig as soft on the issue. He has also focused on efforts to combat the opiate crisis and on economic development. Craig has convoyed a board message focusing on her experience as alderman and school board member, on what she has described as incentive new ideas, while saying that Gastis, after 4 terms in office, has been largely ineffective and should be replaced. Simmons said that while Democrats have distance advantage in voter registration, there are a lot of older, more consecutive Democrats who tend to go toward Ted because of tax issues. Meanwhile, Deputy Secretary of State David Saline, while declining a predict turnout, said usually the turnout in local elections are driven by items on the ballot. In Manchester, there is a hot race for mayor, and I'd expect that would drive out as compared to other cities in which there is not as much going on to motivate the voters. And there'll be some other cities holding elections as well tomorrow. And let me read that list of the other cities that will be holding elections tomorrow. Berlin will be holding elections tomorrow. Concord, Keene, Manchester, Rochester, Claremont, Dover, Laconia, Portsmouth, and Somersworth. Don't forget to vote tomorrow if you live in any of those areas. And a reminder for Manchester Public Schools, don't forget schools are closed tomorrow, November 7th, for our city elections and Manchester School Department Staff Professional Learning Day. And that does it for my news report right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Monday night, and I'll see you back here tomorrow with more news and another news report and another newscast. Have a great rest of your night. Good night, everyone. Bye.